Hello and welcome to Too Many Movies, the podcast where we discuss Blu-rays, DVDs, and even the occasional VHS tape. I'm your host, Hal, and today we got two different sci-fi movies to talk about. Two very different, very opposite ends of the quality spectrum when it comes to science fiction movies. So yeah, let's talk about them. Today's first movie is my Blu-ray copy of 12 Monkeys, the Terry Gilliam movie from 1995, starring Bruce Willis, Madeleine Stowe, Brad Pitt, a whole bunch of other people. So the reason I have this with me on today's episode is because I watched it recently, because for those of you who don't know, I'm a huge fan of the podcast Sardonicast, hosted by, I don't know, some random YouTubers, a furry, a gay guy, a British man, whatever, not important. Anyway, so recently, their most recent episode was on 12 Monkeys, and I felt like this would have been a good opportunity to kind of refresh my memory on this movie and watch it to prepare for that episode. At the time of me recording this, I have not listened to their episode yet, so I don't know what they have to say about it, but as far as I'm concerned, I absolutely adore this movie. I think it's one of the greatest time travel movies ever made. Now, it is based off of a short film from, I believe, 1960-something or other. Oh, man. It's based on a French short film, La Jate, directed by French filmmaker Chris Marker. It was released in 1962. And I remember I watched it my freshman year of college when I took a class called History and Film, and I absolutely loved that class. I'll be talking more about the movies we watched in that class at another time, because I discovered so many movies in that class. But one of them we watched was La Jate, which is a French short film. It's in black and white. It's entirely just images. Like, there's no moving anything. Like, I think there's one shot of like a woman opening up her eyes, and that's the only movement you see in the whole movie. It's literally just 30 minutes of still images with a narrator narrating the events of what's happening. So it's a bit of a you got to have a bit of a taste for that kind of stuff in order to enjoy that movie. I will admit. So 12 Monkeys is easily the more, accessible of the two. So obviously 12 Monkeys is heavily influenced from that movie in a huge way. I mean, the box even says, inspired by Chris Marker's classic short film, La Jetée. So, the box acknowledges that. And yeah, I think I think I like this movie more than La Jetée because it's easier to grasp, yes, but that doesn't necessarily take away from the impact of the story. So the story is basically about a guy being sent back in time to discover information about a virus that wipes out the majority of people on the planet. And he has to... It's not even that he has to change the course of history. He literally is just there to collect information on it, so then people in the present can discover more about this virus and learn to just learn to how to control it, how to make Earth more livable now. That's all of right off the bat, a really interesting aspect of this time travel aspect of the story, that they're not going back to alter history, they're going back to just help out the present, and that ties into the whole destiny thing, because you really can't change the past. No matter how much you want to try, you can't. And it's just such a mind warp of a movie, because it literally starts with the ending of the movie. You see Bruce Willis as a child witnessing the murder of a man at an airport, and then, spoiler alert, at the very end it's revealed that guy who got murdered at the airport was in fact Bruce Willis. So it kind of bookends, and it's honestly brilliant. Like, I remember when I watched 12 Monkeys the first time, I had watched it with La Jate in mind, so I already knew the twist of the movie, but that still didn't take away from it. So when I saw La Jate the first time, I was blown away by the twist. I'm like, oh wow, I did not see that coming. But then 12 Monkeys, I did see it coming, but I felt like I was still fascinated by Bruce Willis as a character, how he's like this weirdo who's just like, oh, anybody in that scenario who's like sent back in time and is in like a completely different time period would just be a complete weirdo. Like, it doesn't matter who you are as a person, like that shit would fuck with your head. And it's just fascinating to watch. It's fascinating to watch Brad Pitt act like a dingus. Like, I'm not kidding. Brad Pitt in this movie is like a psychopath, and it is my favorite performance from Brad Pitt, because I forget that it's Brad Pitt. I forget that it's Hollywood hunk Brad Pitt. I literally see like this psycho environmentalist who's who's just a crazy person. Like, that's his character in the movie. I see his character, and it's just interesting to watch, to see him, because like I said, like, I'm familiar with Brad Pitt in that he's kind of like a generic action Hollywood star who's just kind of famous for their good looks. Not a bad actor by any means. He does do some really good stuff, but I never really see him for his performances. Whereas this is a performance. Like, this is him putting in his all to make this character realized. And I love that about this character. I love that about this performance. It feels like a character. Like, I'm genuinely looking at somebody different than Brad Pitt. It's fascinating. So I guess to talk about the box a little, it's really freaking cool. So it's an Arrow video release of 12 Monkeys. It's a Blu-ray, and it's much like a couple other Arrow video Blu-rays that I have. It has a reversible cover, so it has like this red one where it's like entirely red, and then it has one that's entirely like beige, and then like the title's in red. It's really cool. And it just has a bunch of features. It does not have La Jate as a special feature, which would be kind of cool, but it doesn't. I don't see it on here, which I feel like that would make this a really cool Blu-ray. Like, if they had like La Jate as like a bonus feature, just to say like, oh, this is where it was inspired from. But I mean, so what? Like, who cares? You could just find La Jate on YouTube. There's like 7 different uploads of it on YouTube. Like, I care. I guess because there's really not much else to say other than I fucking love this movie. Like I said, it's one of the greatest time travel stories ever written. Like, and what's great about that is it's one of the greatest time travel stories ever written because it actually follows its time travel rules. That is one thing that kind of makes or breaks a time travel story sometimes, is whether or not it actually follows its rules. A lot of the times that a time travel story happens, it never really follows its rules. Like, this may sound kind of controversial, but Back to the Future does not follow its time travel rules. It pulls a lot of strings to kind of make things happen. It pulls a lot of contrivances in that movie. Now, Back to the Future, by all means, I love all 3 Back to the Future movies. Don't get me wrong. They're some of my favorite movies of all time, mind you. Just because they don't follow their rules does not mean they're bad movies. Like, I love them. All 3 of them. I love all 3 of them. They just have other aspects to them that I love more than I love their following of their time travel rules. But you know what I mean. Like, the butterfly effect. Avengers Endgame even. God, just... I think even Interstellar kind of mucks it up. Just a lot of time travel movies do not follow their own rules. Looper, especially Looper. Oh my God. Like, when talking about 12 Monkeys, you can't help but think about Looper, because that's another time travel movie featuring Bruce Willis. Looper, does not follow its time travel rules at all. And unfortunately, unlike Back to the Future, where even if it doesn't follow its rules, it's still an entertaining film. Like Looper, I guess it's directed fine, but the writing is, oh God, it's just... It's a Rian Johnson movie. Directed really well, written really poorly. Let's just leave it at that. But anyway, as for 12 Monkeys, I adore this film. I could talk about it for hours. I don't think I should because we'd be here all day. I think I should just leave it at, it's one of my favorite movies. It's not my favorite Terry Gilliam movie. I'm more partial to Monty Python and the Holy Grail, but that's just a personal thing. But I think in terms of what I've seen from him that's not Monty Python, I think this might be my favorite. But I'd have to like watch all his stuff in order to really pin that down. But I would, if it's not, it is one of my favorites from him, just because it's just one I love revisiting. I love revisiting it. I love how wacky and weird it is. I love all the weird angles. I love just the strangeness of it all. I love the accordion in the score. It's a really strange, surreal, even kind of heavy and cynical movie. Like, it's everything it needs to be, and everything it is, it's great at what it does. I love it. I love this Blu-ray. I got it recently just so I could watch it for Sardonicast to prepare for their episode and listening to what they have to say. But even, again, I haven't listened to their episode yet, but even still, like, I just love this movie unconditionally. I was bound to buy it on a nice Blu-ray at some point anyway. So, 12 Monkeys, definite keep, definite fine addition to my collection. But let's say that you as a person are not looking for a good science fiction movie. Maybe you watch 12 Monkeys and you think to yourself, you know what? This is too good. This is too of quality. Like, I want something garbage. I want something, say, from the year 2005. Say something that is another science fiction-ish kind of movie. Starring Josh Lucas, Jessica Biel, Jamie Foxx, directed by the guy who directed The Fast and the Furious and The Mummy, Dragon Tomb of the Emperor. Oh, no. Anyway, this very specific person who's wanting this movie, I have the movie just for you. It's a movie called Stealth. Yeah. So, I'm not going to lie. I think Stealth may be the worst movie I've talked about yet on this series, just because I was just unbelievably bored by this movie. Stealth is really, really, really bad. So let's start with how we sometimes start with these. I don't do this very often, but I'd like to do it a lot more often, and that is read the back of the DVD box. All right, so from the director of Triple X and The Fast and the Furious comes an exhilarating epic blockbuster starring Josh Lucas. Okay. Jessica Biel. Oh, that woman who was in BoJack Horseman as herself. And other movies, but I have not seen her in a good movie so far. And Academy Award winner Jamie Foxx. Best Actor, Ray, 2004. Huh, strange how they boast about having Jamie Foxx, an Academy Award winner, and, spoiler alert, his character dies halfway through the movie. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm surprised he's on the front of the box. He dies, like, halfway through the movie. Like, the movie genuinely just not give a shit about him, but clearly the marketing cared about him. I mean, we gotta have an Academy Award winner, titled in the description. That'll pull people in. Oh, a real actor's in this. Yes, real actor Jamie Foxx for his award-winning performance as Electro in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Anyway, back to the box. Breathtaking from takeoff, it thrusts you in the cockpit, hits Mach 5, and never looks back. That's a lie. I was bored out of my mind watching this movie. This is not Top Gun. You're not Top Gun, Stealth. And you're also not 2001: A Space Odyssey. But I'll get to that later. Henry, Ben, and Kara are hands down the world's best tactical fighter pilots, but a new member joins their team. A state-of-the-art, fully automated, pilotless, super stealth warplane, inhuman and invincible. But once this stealth goes up, it's never coming down, wreaking destruction in seconds across the globe. What movie did you watch? Back of the box. Anyway, leaving the team with one last no-fail mission to stop it, no matter what. Oh boy, yeah. So the basic storyline of this movie is, it's the future. Well, it's the pseudo future of 2005, where a bunch of military pilots. It starts off by saying like, oh, a bunch of high-class military pilots are selected for this very special, ripping off Top Gun. It's ripping off Top Gun, basically, just being like, oh, these top Navy air fighter pilots, and even just the way these three interact with each other, it's so Top Gun-ish, where they're just like, oh, we're so cool, we fly planes, like, ooh, it's like, oh god, stop trying to be Top Gun, because you're not Top Gun, because there's no Tom Cruise here. It's so embarrassing, really. But anyway, so it's the future, and these three are the top pilots in the world, apparently. I could have fooled me, because they act like complete dumbasses the whole movie, but I guess they're just the top pilots, because whatever. Anyway, and then, the military gets this super uber techno plane that's just like, it's a robot, it can fly by itself, and then at some point it just wreaks havoc and just starts killing a lot of people. It's like, oh no, like I care. And so it's up to these three to stop them. Actually, it's up to one of them to stop them, because, like I said, Jamie Foxx's character dies halfway through the movie. He gets gunned down by the fucker, and then Jessica Biel, I don't even remember what happens to her or why this happens, but her plane starts malfunctioning, and she just so happens to land in North Korea. So she's out of the movie for a hot minute. So it's literally up to Josh Lucas's character, the white guy, is up. It's up to him to save the day. How convenient! The main white guy is the only one left. This movie is so boring. It is so unbelievably boring. Like, I should really not be this bored by this movie, because it's about a killer fighter plane, like, and it apparently just goes around the world blowing people up. Like, that sounds cool, but it's not. I don't remember a damn scene blowing me away by how epic the plane is. Like, it just bombs cities, like, it just blows shit up, and it just doesn't mean anything. And it's filmed in the most obnoxious way possible. This is something that bugs me personally, but there's this thing that a lot of movies, it happened a lot in the 2000s and into the 2010s, where filmmakers would do this thing where they would have a shot that's so obviously just entirely CGI, but they film it in a way where it looks like a camera's actually there. So to give an example, there's a scene in Star Trek 2009, directed by J.J. Abrams, where Kirk is on that, like, not Hoth planet where it's entirely snow, and there's a scene where, like, you see this creature, like, on this mountain, and, like, the camera zooms in on it, like it's like the camera's, like, actually there, like it's handheld, like the cameraman's actually on that Hoth planet with Kirk. But it's like, I know it's CGI. I know it's just computer tricks to make it look like that. Like, because the way the camera moves is so artificial, and obviously the creature moving is obviously CGI. Like, I know it's CGI just because of the way it looks. So, like, it's just frustrating. It is so irritating when movies do that. And a lot of older movies from the 2000s did that, because they were like, oh, look at us. Like, oh, it's like the camera's actually there, but this is actually entirely CGI. It's like, yeah, I know. Cut it the fuck out. It's annoying. So then there's a lot of that in this movie, and it's annoying. It's headache inducing, even, like, just the way the camera moves. It's so quick, and, like, it's just always moving and shaking, and, like, it gets headache inducing. It's like I don't even know what I'm looking at half the time because the movie's just the camera, quote unquote, like the computerized world that you're creating is just moving at like 90 miles an hour, and it's like I can't fucking see what's going on. Like, how am I supposed to have fun when I don't know what's going on? Like, at least if you're gonna be entirely CGI, let me get a good look at everything, you know? Like, let me see what's going on. Let me experience the visual mastery of a visual film. Like, is that really so much to ask for a movie to look nice and for me to understand, to comprehend what the hell is going on in any given scene? Like, why even make it a film anymore? Like, if you're just not even gonna make it look nice. Oh, God, it's just so stupid. And the rest of the movie is so dumb. It just has so many plot contrivances. There's a scene where Josh Lucas is able to convince the roboplane to like follow him to Alaska, to some base in Alaska. And they go there and Josh Lucas like crash lands. And so like the military there is like helping him. And then he's at the doctor's and for some reason, the guy's just like, hey, I need to give you like an injection because you need medicine. And he's like, oh, I don't need medicine. And so like he punches the guy and the guy gets the medicine hit with the medicine. So then he gets knocked out. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, you weren't in any kind of danger. Why are you acting like you're in some kind of danger? And then he just takes a gun and he starts like shooting up the base to get to the roboplane. And he's like, come on, we got to go save my not girlfriend in North Korea because he has to go to Jessica Biel to save her in North Korea. It's like, why? Like, what sense does any of this make? Like, I get it. You have to get your girlfriend because, I guess because she's your girlfriend. So by principle, I guess that's why. Like, I don't really care for these two. They're incredibly bland. Like, I don't care for them. They're incredibly bland characters. They have no chemistry. I'm literally just supposed to root for them because it's a white guy and a white woman together. It's like, oh, great. I don't care. They don't mean anything to me. They're just characters the movie is insisting that I should care about. And I don't care because, well, first of all, I'm not rooting for this guy. He looks like a fucking jackass. He just looks like an untrustworthy kind of guy. Apparently he was in American Psycho, which makes sense. He probably played a jackass in that movie too, so that makes sense. But here, he's not leading man material. So I can understand why Josh Lucas is not a person I see headlining a movie very often. God, is there even anything else to say? There really isn't. It's literally one of the most boring, nothing movies I've ever seen. It's one of those movies where I try to think of something I liked about it, and I can't think of a damn thing. There is not a single thing I like about this movie. Like nothing. Like, maybe there's maybe a cool shot or maybe a cool line of dialogue. I've already forgotten it. Like, in the moment, I probably thought it was cool, but there's nothing. Nothing for me to grasp onto watching it. There's nothing for me to grasp onto thinking about it 24 hours later. It's just a big nothing movie. Nothing cool happened. Nothing exciting happened. As I said earlier, it tries to be 2001: A Space Odyssey because, again, the robot plane goes haywire and starts killing humanity. It's it's just like HAL 9000, except not interesting in the slightest. I'm sure the movie was trying to be Top Gun meets 2001: A Space Odyssey. And yeah, on the surface I can understand that, but when thinking about it, I'd rather watch both Top Guns because those were entertaining, fun movies, and I'd rather watch 2001: A Space Odyssey because that's actually a deep and profound movie with themes to think about and actually has amazing cinematography, amazing editing, amazing acting, amazing set design, amazing model work, amazing music, amazing everything. It's one of the greatest movies ever made for a reason. And this is just none of that. I remember nothing about it. I want to remember nothing about it. It's just a big nothing movie. And so, if you can't tell already, is this a keep? Is this a not keep? It's a not keep. A definite not keep. I would not be caught dead with this in my collection ever again. So, goodbye. Oh, shit. Alright, I think that about does it. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for doing whatever it is you do to get to here, to click on whatever it is you got to click on to listen to me ramble about a movie about monkeys and a movie about Jamie Foxx dying halfway through. I'd say that about does it. So that about does it. Thank you all for listening, and I'll see you all next time.